Welcome, my minions. Welcome back to Creature Corner. I'm your host, Jared Krichevsky. Thanks for joining me today on this very special day. One of my favorite directors and so many others. It's David Cronenberg's birthday, so we're pretty excited about that. So before we get to sculpting, I thought I'd introduce my co-host, the larva with my heart. It's Matt Millard.
Hey, man.
I larva you, baby.
I larva you too.
So Matt, it's David Cronenberg's birthday.
Yeah, you know what that means.
You know what that means? It means we have to do The Fly, and I don't know if you can see, but I'm wearing The Fly shirt.
Oh, nice. I thought you were going to say we were going to have to like watch Crash over and over again or something.
Yeah, until our eyeballs pop out. So let's go ahead and get going, but we're going to do a fan sculpt tonight of The Fly. So let me just break you in and show you guys what we're doing. So, of course, the man, David Cronenberg himself, who has an illustrious, he's very handsome.
He is so handsome.
He's had an illustrious career as a director. And, you know, many of you know him from The Fly, of course, and Scanners and Existence and Videodrome and all those. But he's also got quite a variety at Scanners. He's got quite a variety. Here, let me pull this up. He's got quite a variety of films.
Yeah, dude's insane, man. Very versatile.
Different genres as well. One of my favorites, kind of being outside of that, is like History of Violence. If you haven't seen that,
yeah, so good.
Or Eastern Promises. Also an amazing movie. So like, dude's got range. And then he does like Jason X. You know what I mean?
I mean, love it.
I love Jason X. It's
love
a guilty
it.
pleasure. Totally guilty pleasure.
There was nothing wrong with Jason X.
And then also he did like The Stupids, which that movie got roasted when it came out. But like when you're David Cronenberg, you know, you can just come out and make The Stupids if you want.
It just kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah. He did the series, or he did the Dead Zone movie. And
Dead Ringers.
So, you know, Nightbreed, which is also, you know, it's he played
the Doctor in Nightbreed.
Yeah, he played the Doctor in Nightbreed,
and that is one of the coolest fucking slasher villains of all time. Like that dude is that mask is scary. I love it.
Really is cool. It's terrifying. And then on top of that, like he's still directing today. I think he directed a short fairly recently about dying. So
naturally.
We're also mentioning Naked Lunch, which
yes,
Naked Lunch, man, that movie. I watched that as a young kid, and I probably shouldn't have. Most of my upbringing is watching movies I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But that's one that stuck with me. And then of course, he did Cosmopolis with Robert Pattinson. So I think everyone should go ahead and do a rewatch of that, just because Cronenberg knew.
I mean, you know,
he knew,
and we have to. I mean, I am obligated to mention Society.
Oh, Society! God, yes.
Society is like, because the man has mastered body horror, right?
Yeah, I mean, truly.
Dude is insane. And whenever the first time I saw Society, like, well, it's just this huge social commentary, which is, you know, all good horror films are. But man, the prosthetic work in that, having a guy's face in a butthole, all of just the weird orgy scene. I mean, it's a full blown.
It's full blown. I mean, it is like the most full blown. He doesn't shy away from like erotica either.
Not at all.
And you know, that's a big part of it. And then Society is kind of like the erotica and the body horror, and it's just terrifying.
Yeah. It's a very gross film.
Gregor's mentioning that he's in Star Trek Discovery, so I'll have to.
Sick.
Yeah, so we'll have to check that out. So today we're going to honor The Fly, which is to me the greatest body horror film ever made. Hands down, like no question. There's no movie that's more terrifying than The Fly, for me at least. That's a movie I saw very young.
Oh yeah.
Very, very young. Again, it came out in 86, so I was 5 years old. So I didn't see it. I don't think I saw it in theaters, but I probably saw it years later when I was a little bit older than that. But I remember that movie having a very vivid effect on me.
Oh, it's disgusting, man.
It's disgusting.
I saw the original
brutal.
First.
Yeah.
The old one.
It's tragic.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jeff Goldblum at like the most Jeff Goldblum.
Dude's the man. He is the man.
Oh, so we're gonna honor The Fly tonight. We're gonna do that. So my initial kind of thought process for this is we're gonna do this as a quick sculpt because we have other things to get on, onto after this week, including some other fun stuff that Matt and I have planned. But we wanted to honor David Cronenberg tonight, so that's why we're going to do a Fly sculpt pretty quick. So, without like diving in and grabbing a ton of references, first I was just grabbing, the original Fly just to look at that. Jeff Goldblum in the full body makeup, just so I have that as a reference. And, then of course, like the wild-eyed, like crazy, insane look, just amazing performance.
Oh yeah.
What it's hard to perform through makeup, and man, Jeff Goldblum just nailed it. So then what I thought it would be fun is that instead of going maybe the Fly route where it's like disgusting and pinkish and reddish and all this stuff, is I might go pale translucent larva.
Yeah.
So I was looking at fly larva, because fly larva are particularly disgusting to me.
Yeah, so, they're kind of the perfect reference for that translucence that literally everyone, whenever you get on a design project, they're like, I want it to be translucent. You show them
when you get a creature,
like that.
Most creatures, we get kind of contracted for. They want a little translucency in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, just to like pay homage to kind of the old Vincent Price, The Fly, which was the original. So I thought I would just throw this in there as like a giant head.
Just like the big like hairy clamp hands.
Yeah.
I love that, dude.
Yeah, that would be really fun. So there's something in there, like if we can combine this with the this somewhere in there, I think that's kind of where I'm going to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Someone mentioned the losing the teeth scene when he pulls the tooth out. I cannot tell you how many nightmares I've had since then about losing my teeth. It's very, very visceral. So that's where I'm going to go with it today. Assembly wise, this was just put together very quick before the show. It's just a straight up like skinny man body that I've got. And then my head, which was taken from my buck, of kind of like pre-sculpted expressions in there. So I've talked about this guy a lot before, but this guy always comes in handy. So that's pretty much the setup. Later on, we'll do a check-in, so we can check in on Goliath. And Matt, if you have any other projects you want to check in with us and show us how it's going.
Yeah, sounds good.
As many new projects as we start, it's sometimes you don't want to show the like boring stage where you're just like making anatomy decisions and just noodling back and forth. That's not really exciting. So I like to show incremental progress. So like each week you can see like, oh, it's, it is growing, it's changing, it's, things like that. So here we go. I'm going to jump off of this. Matt, why don't you take it away and then show us where you're starting with.
Yeah, so I started with our just Reggie blank head here. Where's my mouse at? What's
Reggie
happening? Yeah, the blank head that we started that you provided that just kind of has this regular old it's got like a little bit of meat underneath it.
Just a
And
little bit of meat.
I have nearly the same reference board that you have. And I've got a couple of macro flies in here, like just to really kind of, to actually kind of get that, because you can see the relationship in the skull with the human form right here. This kind of triangle coming from like that nostril kind of area right there.
Yeah.
It looks like and so I'll do a. I think I'm going to go like a little more asymmetric. I haven't changed much, but the one idea that I did have is that I'm going to use the bottom mandible and split it.
Ooh.
To kind of follow some of this language in these mandibles here, right? Like have this come out of my front main teeth, but then have like the mandibles kind of end right here, and then you get that long nasty tongue that comes out of there. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna go this level gross. I'm gonna reference some of this kind of macro anatomy on here. Definitely got to get some hairs in there, but then really like we're both going that kind of screaming bass, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's pain. Pain is at the root of of what's happening.
Yeah, it's pain. It's primal. It's
there's a lot of hurt going on. Let's pop it in there. Let's pop open some music, and then let's get going. So I've already taken to like swelling the head quite a bit, and I'm gonna keep. I think I'm gonna keep the mouth human with maybe like some mandibles coming out of the mouth.
What's going on here?
Did I lose you?
No, I just thought my ZBrush was going to crash for absolutely no
that's
reason.
always fun.
Oh, quick question. I've got a question for you.
What's that?
This is a question, ZBrush question. So you got ZBrush open.
I got it open.
And then, like as you saw before, I opened up right before the show started a couple of Z tools that might be however many millions of polygons. Might be a lot, might be not a lot at all. Now I know, okay, here's my main question. Whenever I quick save a file or save a project, those other subtools that I opened up are still going to be in there taking up memory and space. And I know that you can
with the project, yeah.
I know that you can click this little R to restore the configuration to get them to go away, but they are still there
They're still in there.
That memory. So the only workaround I've had is just like completely close ZBrush out, open it back up, and then reload a tool.
So what's the goal? Is you want to keep them or you want to get rid of them?
The goal is I want to clear it out completely, delete it from ever existing in my current project.
Okay. Then what I would say is what I do is delete all. So here.
Oh, you mean like in Subtool Master?
Yeah, no, not even in Subtool Master. Let me pop open my boy. We'll make it big. Okay, so in there, so like let's say I've got my guy in here.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to get rid of him because he's taking up memory.
Yeah.
Just come down in here and delete all.
How are you doing that zoom in with the orange circle?
Oh, that's Shift M, my buddy.
Shift M, my buddy.
Shift M.
You gotta type in my buddy after that?
You have to type in my buddy. So Shift M Y BUDDY. That's
awesome.
This really helped when I learned for teaching.
Look at that!
Isn't that cool? I was like, I saw that was in there, and I was like, I'm committing that to memory.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So just come down here, delete all. Delete other is pretty great too, because you can delete every other subtool except the one you need.
Yeah.
So that's great, but I just delete all and hit OK. And
okay. Well, that sounds like it works. Sounds like it works for me.
Otherwise, you would be you would just be like initializing the file and saving it. Like, when you're saving, are you hitting Control S to save project?
No. That's not my concern. It's just
Okay.
that it's really with quick saves, right? Like,
Okay.
because there's so many times where you open up a file to start working and you're like, well, I've got to load some clothes. I got to load some whatever the Z tool is that you might need to bring into your master file and start assembling. And then whenever you quick save, it's saving that entire shit and making like this huge file. And
Right.
sometimes if you're like being a little, reckless with it, it'll crash your file. So I was just curious if there was a way to
Well, let me ask you this.
purge that.
Are you saving your undo history with that?
No.
Okay. So yeah, number one thing I see usually with file size is it has to do with undo history.
Right. But I mean, like, if a file is crashing or something, or if I have a quick save and there were 7 other Z tools open in there that I had to pull from, that file is going to end up taking a lot of space.
Gotcha.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because so what I end up doing is like appending it all, saving a tool in a new version, killing off ZBrush and opening it up. It was it's really like a workflow, kind of just a question about like if there was a way. I mean, delete all seems like it works,
Definitely works.
Seems like it would absolutely work.
100% works.
It seems like it would 100%.
It would 110% work.
And some people call it without a doubt.
So that's what I do. If I need to get rid of stuff, but largely I just, the big thing for me is just making sure undo history, because undo history is not per project, it's per Z tool. So so you have to make sure that that's set every time. So in my setup, I have skip history and skip loading.
Right.
Turn off and make sure enable saving is turned off.
Yeah. I mean, I think I can tell that story whenever I lost the Z tools working on Rampage, because I didn't have those buttons unclicked and the files were just too huge to go over the network, and they just became like corrupted, and it was like, oh, okay.
Well, you were working off network with that too.
Yeah, and it was like, well, I guess guess I'm never gonna do this part. They're gonna always remember to click these things, because you were like, yeah, man, click undo history and get rid of all of that stuff.
Always. That's like the number one thing. I wish it was per like Z project, so like you just start it and it just works that way. I mean, you can go through and you can set it up that way if you want, but I just haven't had any luck getting it to like just start up and work.
Yeah, for sure.
So, whatever. Just go in and delete your C drive. And
yeah. You want to go into Windows. You want to find a windows.config and move that to the trash bin.
Yeah, just grab everything that says OS and drag it into your trash can and hit delete, and you're good to go. Just delete the internet.
Delete the internet. Okay, so where are we at? 19 minutes in. We're looking good.
I feel good. I'm gonna go really like, because to me, like, body horror is what keeps the body horror is there's always a little bit of human element still left in there.
Yeah, that's the one thing that that'll draw you to a character is. And most of the time, if it's some sort of very fantastical, like, aberration of anatomy, you can always find it in the eyes. That's the number one note you're always going to get, always and forever in CG, is the eyes. Always. And concept images, in production rendering and compositing. It's always like, we need more. We're going to have to go in and render like 3 separate passes on these eyes to get them to feel right, It's
Well, we are conditioned, through our species of just like of needing to find eyes, because you needed to know where enemies were far away. You needed to know if like a lion was going to eat you. So we developed the ability to recognize faces very quickly. And, you know, when you can even see faces in things that like don't have faces in them, which is, here's our $6 word of the day. It's pareidolia.
There it is.
There it is. You know, I have to say it every day at least.
Yeah, you gotta slam them in there.
Yes, you got to say that word.
You gotta say that word.
Say that word. Pareidolia. So that's like finding faces in things that don't have like you ever look at a tree and you're like, oh, that tree's got a face. That's pareidolia.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I know that there's many other people that have said this same thing, and there, you know, it's a fun thing to talk about too. But like whenever you're a kid, whenever I was a kid, and I would like go to sleep, and I would just look at the door, like the wood grain on the door in my bedroom, I would see moving faces. They're just running around. They're doing crazy things, and it was very scary. It used to scare me to death.
Yeah.
And whenever you get older, you kind of lose that. People tell you it's not real, and so like your brain, your brain like starts programming itself to be like, oh well, that's just some garbage, right?
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
But realistically, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's like,
I mean,
whenever,
it is.
Whenever you're a kid, you just have this. You are taking everything in raw. You know what I mean?
There's no parental filter.
There's no filter. Like,
it's interesting, you know, because watching my kid, you know, right now he likes plastic swords, so we fight with the swords.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And he just runs over to like a bush and he's like, Dad, it's a monster or it's a
yeah.
You know, just pow this bush. And we're like, okay. And then I fight like you fight it or you fight like a garage door. But like the ability to see faces in abstraction is actually a really good ability to cultivate as a creative artist. Because sometimes when designing and you've given them like you've given them all the front ideas of like, okay, it's this, but like now you're on like version 18 and you're like, oh God, I just need something to happen. So, you know, because you're, you know, if you're designing, then you have to do something new, right? You have to present a new option, a new idea. So sometimes So sometimes just throwing down some abstraction, just shapes, and then being able to like see a face or see a, you know, use something out of it.
Dude, the amount of times I've like been at work at a studio and I've gone outside to smoke a cigarette and sit down and there's just like some boxes there.
Yeah.
And there's some duct tape on either side and the hole for where the handle is. I'm like, that is a fake. I will take a picture of that. And I'll be like, this is a really good reference for like, because there's an expression in there.
Yeah.
You know, like once you see it, you can't unsee it. And you're like, man, that box is really excited. Or man, that box is really sad. You know what I mean?
It's sad little box.
Mm-hmm.
But like we love those photos too. Like when we see people posting and you're like, oh, it's a happy faucet. Or
exactly.
It's a sad house. It's a, you know, we love that stuff. It's a fun little game that you can play. There we go. How's your guy? I think I'm going to stick to symmetry for as long as I can, and then I'll break it.
Yeah, I've already broken it.
You broke it really, really fast. You just went and broke.
Only on the main part. You know, I'm working on getting that kind of fly draft, that flat face in there. I took his main kind of canines and the teeth behind it, kind of poked them out to match some of that mandible language, and then I've broken up my jaw here. And then I just burrowed out his throat. I'm gonna have like a really gross like.
Let's put that up on.
I'm gonna have
yeah. You're going in.
Yeah, gonna have a really gross like flap here, and then you're gonna have that tongue, that tongue that just kind of like comes out. You know, it's gonna be like,
Flaps.
it's
That
gonna be
is a word.
gross.
That
No,
is a word
flaps.
that inspires feelings, doesn't it?
Flaps are
Flaps.
everywhere, man.
Right?
Everybody loves a good flap.
Everybody loves a good flap. Or when you don't want to go. You don't want to go to the doctor because you saw like a flap.
Yeah. Doctor, I
Anyway,
have this unknown flap. I have this new flap.
like that is the essence of body horror. Is like you're not in control. We are not in control of our bodies. Our bodies
Do you,
process.
we don't have to talk about this too long, but I think that one of the movies in recent memory that I can think of, and it's not really recent memory. I guess I was in college over 10 years ago, but Teeth.
Teeth.
You saw Teeth, right?
Oh, I saw Teeth. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I remember watching that and being like, oh my God.
Yeah, dude. As a, I mean, that movie has so much to say, and it's so brilliant.
And I mean, most recently, we've talked about this several times, but Brand New Cherry Flavor
Yes,
has that Cronenberg vibe, and they even foreshadow it in the first episode, man.
they call it out.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like that was a little hint to me. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well,
I
you
was
don't
like,
just
oh
call that
man.
out.
Yeah, like you're bringing this shit up like it's going to be,
I was like,
this is going
oh,
to be
okay.
prominent.
Here's what we can expect from this then. And I was not disappointed. That's like one of the few new. I mean, I think it's an excellent successor to Cronenberg's work, for sure. There's Brand New Cherry Flavor. I mean, what else body horror wise has there been that's really like stood out to you?
I mean, even just without the body horror tag, that the show is incredible, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's one of those things that you wouldn't expect to be that level of filmmaking as far as that kind of content and those. I don't want to spoil anything, but I mean, we're already telling you it's pretty messed up,
It's pretty
and it's
messed
like
up.
like from the trailers, you're like, okay, this looks crazy, but then you watch it and you're like, oh my God, this is. I was like taken aback by that show, dude. I was tripping on it. Yeah, body horror. There is one that comes to mind, but I can't remember the name of it. It wasn't Rabid. It might have been.
Ravenous.
No, it follows a woman, and it kind of goes. It takes the female hygiene. I think is there even a female director, and that is kind of the center point of the movie, and she becomes infected. That actually might be the name of the movie, is Infected. But I think every
Maybe.
person that maybe she sleeps with or something like that, they contract this like just like ooh. I mean, it was gross. Like it wasn't some crazy Cronenberg level mutation, but it was like taking like an every person issue of this body, and
A deadly virus is sweeping the country, and one man may hold the key to defeating it.
not even close.
Not even close. It's not. Hold on. We're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, it's
We're doing great. Is this it?
Yeah, that's totally it. Yeah,
This was it?
Yeah, it's got a military.
It's got 1 star.
No, it's definitely not that. Yeah, I didn't think about that ahead of time. I can't remember the name of the film, but it was one of those movies that you watch and you're just like, oh man,
Okay. So I think I'm going to make a VDM brush for this guy.
Yeah, you're gonna get some
'Cause,
hooks in there.
Because check this out. I was looking at these things, these little like pockmarky holes in
Yeah.
there. And actually, you know what? I might not even need to make a brush. I might just have a brush, which is even better. Save yourself a brush build if you can. All right, let's pull up our boys. Let's see. So, is it safe to talk about the Batman yet?
People want to know.
People want to know, is it safe? Can we talk about it yet?
Inquiring
I
minds
am
want to
dying
know.
to talk about it. I've listened to the have you listened to the soundtrack on repeat?
I have not.
Like I have.
No.
Rabid. So Gregor is saying Rabid.
Rabid. Is that the
Rabid?
Oh, Rabid by Cronenberg. Actually, now I gotta put my pen up and look at
There's a
this.
2019 remake, maybe. Looks like.
Gregor doesn't want any spoilers, so we gotta honor that.
Okay. All right.
That
All
dude
right,
said
Gregor. I'll tell you this, man. Just listen to the soundtrack. It's so good to work to. Okay. I need my skin brush.
Mm-hmm.
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 Girl?
No,
Girl.
I think let me see. Let me read this. Oh
There
yeah,
we
no,
go.
I have not seen this. I don't know. No one knows.
No one knows. No one
And
knows.
we will never know.
So this was a movie you watched.
Yeah, and I think, it was a couple of years ago. Might have been, 2019 almost matches up with, because Gregor was saying Rabbit. I was trying to see if that was it. I don't think that was it, though. It's going to be one of those, is it even real?
I've had that happen. Like,
It is real.
Did I just make up this movie? Let's see. Well, it's coming out on HBO next month anyway, so you get your shot.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a good movie, and I actually, this makes me want to go see it again in the theater before it comes out.
I'm kind of surprised that I haven't seen it. I haven't gone looking for it either, but I'm surprised there hasn't been more negative feedback about the film.
I've
Just
heard
because it's so different from every other Batman. You know
it
what
is.
I mean?
It is really widely well received. Most of the feedback I've seen has been oh, it's kind of funny.
Well, Batman in general.
The
Superheroes in general.
Superheroes are funny. There's just going to be a level of goofiness that you have to deal with. It's so good.
It was very good. I liked it a lot.
What was I looking for?
Yeah, Olsen's seeing it tonight.
He's seeing it tonight, so we can finally talk about it.
He's gonna hate it.
He's not gonna like that movie.
I'm calling it.
You really? No.
I'm calling that he is not gonna like it.
No.
I hope he loves it.
He's gonna have the same reaction that literally everybody else has had.
I remember whenever he saw the Joker, he was like, "This movie sucks." I was like, "Okay."
Wait, he didn't like Joker?
He didn't like the Joker, bro. I'm trying to tell you, I don't think he's gonna like it. He's gonna feel some kind of way whenever he learns that on this episode of the stream we're just talking about his opinion of Batman.
He doesn't watch the stream.
We love you, David
We
Olson.
love you, David.
You are my main man.
I gotta get some mandibles in there.
Oh, there we go.
Mandible time.
Mandible.
Mandibular.
Mandible.
Mandibular.
Mandibulinson's disease.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time I watched The Fly, and that's like how vivid. I mean, that's probably what broke me.
What do you mean? Like the
why?
first time you saw it, you were like, "Whoa, this is." What do you mean? More
Oh,
specific.
I mean, like it. I don't know. It's just he's pulling his fingernails out. He's pulling his teeth out.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, how does that? I mean, this was not like just some like late night, monster movie. It was like, it's an experience.
Yeah, I always remember just the level of slime was insane.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It was like, dude, there's so much slime on this guy. But the story is tragic.
It is. It's incredibly tragic.
It's cool. It's cool in that way.
The best stuff really is, quite tragic. It's like the first time you watched Requiem for a Dream.
You mean the only time?
The only time.
Only time. Who? Oh man, yeah. I don't even want to talk about that movie.
You remember watching it?
Yeah, for sure.
We all remember watching it. We're throwing some mandibles on this boy. Now, these
some
are
Mando Calrissians.
Some Mando calibers. And it's not going to be like accurate at all to a fly's mouth, but I don't care.
Yeah, you like pick and choose, you know what I mean?
You have to, like, in this case, it's like speed over, accuracy. So you just take what you got and you just put it together. I like right there. Goes off. This goes back to like the philosophy that I've always taught with, which is like, if you make one thing, use it over and over again. Like if you make like a cool insect leg,
oh man,
that's gonna save you so much.
You're like, yeah, it's always like, oh, I got one of those laying around. Like, oh.
Well, it's funny. Is like now my brain does a little bit of like creature math, where I'm like, okay, what is this going to take to build it?
Right.
What do I have? So it's like that's what I was doing before this thing, because we had something else planned for this week, and then it's David Cronenberg's birthday.
It's a birthday.
That's a birthday. So we got to do something cool. Wouldn't be a creature show without
Twouldn't.
Twould not. Twouldn't. Won't.
Twon't.
He's got a stam, Your Honor.
He must be stammy to hamel his Tamersons.
There's even like something a little bit viper about it too. We're gonna pop some like nasty hairs all over everything.
I know, man. That's the one thing I want to do is make giant hair follicles that like break the silhouette and then just turn into fat, nasty hairs.
You gotta do fat nasties.
You got to hit them with the fat nasties.
You gotta hit them with fat nasties.
It's not worth it if you're not hitting them with fat nasties.
That
that's
was the best part. You know, work from home is definitely its own thing, but when we were all in a studio together,
it was crazy, bro. Dude, I tell those stories all the time. I'm like, yeah, man, there's like 4 departments in the studio. Everyone's just dead quiet. And the design department's going, farts, poop, sparkle, murder. And we're just cracking up. And everybody's like, will you guys shut up?
They actually have to concentrate, but we're over here just like ripping ridiculousness.
Just noodling.
Because you got to be a little bit crazy.
You got to go a little mad sometimes.
I think you have to let a little bit of the madness in.
You have to. That's, I mean, come on, guys. Everybody should know that by now.
Got to let the madness in. Get that nasties. Like,
here comes the boy.
Your big boy?
Yeah, he must have finished that bone. Okay, Dad. Time to finish it. You got another one laying around? I could use a snack. I don't know what's going on. What's the deal? Do you have
I like that he's kind of old.
Yeah, do you have voices for your dogs?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, man. It is the number one thing that me and all my friends do is just impersonate our dogs whenever we're around them. Yeah, I'd have a snack.
You gotta have a snack. Well, you know, my dogs are all spoiled, so they're very princessy. You know, I've got 2 girl dogs, so they're very princessy, spoiled. And then there's Simon, who's, you know, a psychopath.
Yeah, full-blown psycho. 100%.
Full-blown psycho. In the best way. We love him.
Hey, buddy. How you doing? How was that bone?
That was delicious.
That was pretty good, Dad.
That was pretty good. I liked it.
If you got anything else, I'll go ahead and just take it off.
If you got some time for some belly scratches, I'd love to have a belly.
Oh, dude. 88 Scrolls.
Is he a belly boy? Is he a big belly boy?
88 Scrolls is here for the fat nasties.
You're here for the fat nasties.
He wants the fat nasties.
See? That's what Creature Corner is about. It's about the fat nasties. With the gruesome twosome.
It's a gruesome twosome fat nasty situation.
It's a gruesome twosome fat nasties. Your Honor, I'm not about to stop making fat nasties.
Your Honor, I was born from a fat nasty, and I'll be a fat nasty my whole life. For the love of God, this is America.
For the love of America. Oh. Okay. So I'm just going to create some more of these. Okay.
So number one thing I've got to do, get that compound eye in there.
Do you have a good trick for compound eyes?
Do I have a good trick for compound eyes? Oh, well, I mean, you can just do the surface noise and add the hexagon pattern to it, right?
Right.
Or
so I've been doing that. That's one thing.
You can go into your Z remesher and extrude some stuff on a sphere.
You could. Nano mesh it.
It just really feels like that you might have a really good compound eye technique.
I made it sound that way.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. And then you're like, you could. You might be able, you could do
wait,
it that way.
There's more.
What? There's more.
There's more. Well, now I feel obligated.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do it.
So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to use a nano mesh for it.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, wouldn't do
that.
No?
No?
I'm just kidding.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you could inset every polygon and then just extrude or something, right?
Woo.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. I like yeah, that's cool. And then you can pick how it fits and arranges and everything.
Yeah, just like randomly, like bibbity boop.
You can Quimby bip it.
Quimby.
Quimby bip it. You know how it goes, man.
uh, oh man, we love Quimby.
Quimby's a good one.
He's Quimby.
Quimby's a good dude.
Quimby's a good guy. Quimby Bippet. Oh, Quimby. Quimby, you utter scumbag. There we go. I want to lose the face, but I want more of these spikies. Quimby for Maya Quimby. Maya. Quimby Bippet, totally different dude, not the mayor.
Yeah, it's completely separate from what you're imagining.
Yeah, not related to any cartoons that are beloved and have been around for 20 plus years, 30 years possibly. I don't know. 700,000 episodes.
700,000 episodes.
And they're going to keep going. It's like things that will last an eternity. Quimby Bippet. Okay. Now I think I'm going to add some hairs. And I have a brush for that. I have a quill brush. There we go. Is it cold out there, Matt, where you're at?
Yeah. I mean, well, it's cold enough for me to not be able to be printing all night.
Oh, you can't even print right now.
No, I mean, Arkansas is very, very up and down. Like we've been having, 80-degree days. We've been having flooding, rainfall, and most recently, we just randomly got 3 inches of snow.
Just like out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like right now, it's getting down. I mean, it's not too cold, but it's getting down to like in the 30s.
That's pretty cold.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty cold, and I'm used to cold.
Well,
Like
I mean,
grew up in the cold.
Like back in the day, you were used to cold.
Oh yeah, no, not anymore. No,
it does not.
No, that's gone.
Yeah.
That's gone. No. Yeah, absolutely no. No, fully thin-blooded now.
Yeah.
Terrified of anything cold. I need to bake, on a rock.
Yeah.
To get my energy from the sun. Matt likes it cold though.
I love it cold.
He loves the cold.
Feels good.
Look at this hairstyle. I might just keep it.
Yeah, dude's a rock star, bro.
He's like rocking out. He's shredding.
He is a rock star.
This guy is living it.
Dude shreds.
He shreds.
There we go.
No word is great as shreds. Really.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Where are we at here? There we go.
So creating some nice spiky hairs. Really thick spiky boys. Remember, this has to look sick nasty.
It's got to be disgusting.
We make fat nasties.
We make fat, thick nasties.
We make them fat nasties. Yeah. So what are you watching, Matt? What was the last thing you watched?
I just actually the last thing I watched was Werewolves Within. Have you seen that?
Oh shoot! I wanted to watch that. How was it?
It's got the dude from Little Buff Boys.
Sam Richardson.
Yeah, he's the main character. It was really fun, dude. You should totally watch it.
I'm gonna totally watch it.
It was awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but you know, I was watching. I just caught up on Ozark. It's very.
That's right. You've been deep in Ozark land.
Yeah. Well, you know, I live in the Ozarks, so I had to.
So you feel like you're at home.
Yeah, I had to check it out. I think they go to Arkansas once or twice. I don't know. I can't remember.
It takes place in Missouri, right? Like the Ozarks in Missouri, right?
Yeah.
I believe that could happen out in Missouri. I really believe that.
Oh yeah.
So now I've got like spiky hair, like nasty little spikes on his head. It'd be fun to have like a bunch of hairs coming out of his mouth too.
Oh yeah, it's disgusting.
You know? It's like, what are the worst things that can go wrong? Like, okay, remember the movie The Gate?
Yeah.
Right. And the kid gets the eyeball on his hand.
Yeah.
Right. Like that one tripped me out, and he had to like stab his hand because there was an eyeball in his hand. It's like that. It's like Cronenberg, where he's pulling out teeth and fingernails and just generally falling apart. At the end, he just, you know, spoilers for The Fly, but he completely falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, I think 20 years is okay if you're.
It's okay to talk about the movie, Jared. It's okay.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really pushed for last time can we talk? Oh, I don't know. Anyways,
what?
The idea of like the kind of insect plating,
Oh yeah.
Like that kind of skin just coming together and creating like a hard kind of crustacean and insectoid shell it's just one big iridescent scab. That's gross.
God,
man.
Yeah, scabby. Iridescent scabbies.
Iridescent Scab is the name of a death metal band.
Iridescent Scab.
Iridescent Scab.
Scab Man with the power of scabs.
With the power of scabbing.
With the power of...
Oh, dude, I did want to take a quick shout out though to I've received a couple of messages from people that have been watching the show, and they've been very appreciative of like how silly we are, but also they've been learning a lot, and I just think that's like super cool. And if you guys always reach out to us, like they're asking me questions, they want to get into the industry, or they want to ask like specific techniques, or like, hey, what should I do for my portfolio and stuff like that's all really cool, man. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the guys that watch this and end up reaching out to us about stuff like that.
That was a beautiful, serious moment, and I couldn't agree more. Like, actually, please, yes, reach out to us. We love it.
Yeah, it's been really cool, man. Like, I know that we've heard from a couple of the same people, and it's just really cool to see people inspired by it and be like, oh, okay, so this is a real thing, but you're also learning and having fun. One guy was like, yeah, man, all of your horror film banter like made up for basically a horror film podcast. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of
I
tight.
mean, like, I've also heard the term vodcast. I don't know if that's like a video podcast. That's kind of close to it. Like, really, we just want to like hang out. Like, this is how we would hang out and work.
Yeah.
And you know, we share details with people. You know, this is all stuff we talk about. And I'm like, hey man, how did you do that? You know, that's a great opener. You know, just to learn more about ZBrush. Well, you know, we have a passion for learning, and we have a
Yeah.
passion for monsters.
Yeah. And, you know, it was really cool, like working together in the studio, because everybody would just kind of gather around and be like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool, you know?
You'd
And then you can also talk about like even your train of thought. Like sometimes you're not blown away by like their technique, but the image is amazing, and you're like, how, you know, what was your train of thought here, you know?
yeah.
And they'll tell you some stuff that, like, you know, you've never thought of, and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool.
I think that is such an important thing. Sometimes it's not even the techniques anymore. It's how you're thinking about it. What are your references? Where
Yeah.
are you?
How are
What
you
is
using
what is
your
your
reference?
like? What are your like unique experiences in your life that is bringing you to this information? You know, to compose this image in the way. And I think musicians experience this when they listen to other people's music. Any artist that is, say, admiring another artist's work, like, even though the notes are still the same, we all have access to the same tools, and you look at what they're creating and you're like, my God, how do you do that? Like, I don't know if you've ever just like let the ZBrush screensaver just run for a little while.
Oh man, yeah.
Like,
It's like, wow, I don't even know how to use this software. And B, holy crap, this is amazing.
yeah, you really it really does it does humble you very quickly.
Oh yeah.
You can be like you can be having a great day and be like, I'm king shit, and then you look down and you're like, oh, I am baby.
Yeah, I am garbage. I am human garbage.
There are artists, you know, there are artists out there that just pick it up and just wow. Or if they're young and they come to it. But that's what's great is like we are all equal, and only your desire to push yourself. You know, it's you against yourself making art. It's amazing. Unless of course you're in a production and then you are like team project.
Yeah.
Like, I am here to execute the vision of the project or the property. Yeah. I know I'm going to ask this, and I know what answer I'm going to get, but have you seen Turning Red yet?
Sorry, you broke up a little bit there. What was that?
Nothing. I said the red of the blood from
you talking about Red Dawn
that I was watching.
I love Red Dawn.
The gore. I know better than to bring that up. I knew it when I started. Sometimes you surprise me, Matt.
And you know, I have been known to surprise.
You have been known to surprise. So sometimes, but I had to ask. It's delightful.
I haven't seen it. It's really good.
It's you know what it is it's like Pixar does anime.
That's awesome.
So it's very like energetic for a Pixar movie. It's a little jarring at first because you're like, whoa, it's a lot of juice coming from it. But man, it is beautiful. Like the rendering, the lighting is just stunning.
They really, I mean, yeah. I mean, just over the last several years, it's been pretty wild watching it all just become more and more beautiful with every animated film that comes out.
And even projects that, everything looks beautiful now. Growing up with like CGI, the first thing I remember was I was thinking about it. It was the Dire Straits video, Money for Nothing.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like, yes. I watched a crap ton of music videos because it was the MTV
genre.
Yeah,
it was MTV, man. Yeah,
and
of course.
And I remember when that came out, and I remember seeing the cubes and all that stuff, and I was
like, whoa, this is 3D.
This is 3D. The really rudimentary animations, and then like from like going to like Toy Story. And Toy Story 1, if you watch it now, is just like objectively terrifying.
Yeah. I think it's really important to mention the Mortal Kombat movie.
Yes,
because Reptile was all 3D, and man, even as a kid, I was like, this looks like shit. It's like this is some weird.
You were
garbage.
made for it. You were made for it.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god,
guys,
like everything's awesome, but what is happening?
What is going on
here? Yeah,
I mean, you forgave Scorpion's thing coming out of his hand. You forgave that because it's so cool. You finally seen it.
Oh, I was about to say forgave.
You're like,
you see it on screen, you're like, that's tight.
You're like, this is awesome.
It doesn't have to
when you get to Reptile, you're like, oh,
this is a little much.
And then we got to see, like Jurassic Park. It was 94. Man,
Jurassic Park and Abyss. Jurassic Park and Abyss
yes.
did it, man. Abyss, like, the fully reflective and the animation and simulation was so incredible for the time. It was like, wow. Like, I mean, and Jurassic Park still holds up to this day.
Still holds up, and is
like who else can hold up like that though? For real, that's insane.
And I was gonna say Terminator 2.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah. Josh Herman coming in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
we saw that sequence of him like walking through the.
Dude, it's insane. Through the bars. Yeah, it's ridiculous how they did that, and the practical mixed with visual effects on that was. I mean, to this day, it's incredible. It's incredible.
We've gotten to see all of that now. Like my kid watches CG animated movies all day.
Yeah,
like, that's what we do. It's not me like saying like, hey, why don't you watch this, buddy? It's completely on his tastes, and so he just wants to watch. And I've tried showing him like cartoon animate, like hand animated stuff. Does not take. Like there are some that he likes, but it's not like what he prefers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Time for a check-in? Oh, we missed the check-in. Let's do a check-in.
Let's do a check-in.
So Matt, why don't you take it away? Why don't you check in?
Yeah, this is where I'm at. I'm checking in.
And he's checking in.
There we go.
Coming in, he's checking in.
A little profile. I've been, blocked in some. Actually, one of the things that I've really wanted to focus on was this kind of inner mouth here, like the roof of the mouth.
Oh,
split open with the jaws, creating that silhouette. And I've broken symmetry, right? Like I've wanted to kind of push like almost a panicked kind of expression.
You know what it is he's still in there.
Yeah, like
that eye right there. That's the last remnants of the man.
And so everything on the left
Horrifying.
side is, you know, it's still evolving, right? Like his skull underneath has still
Well,
evolved.
it's very,
But over here, I'm getting more into the shells. Like I'm kind of shelling out these
yeah.
areas, and I'm kind of shelling out this area to create. You know, we'll get some material separation in there, especially with paint and everything. But I mean, it's 11:05.
It's
It
11:05.
could probably take like 10 minutes and maybe like do some paint or something. See what it looks like in Keyshot.
I was thinking about the same, like just at least like I have some lighting that I'm going to steal from another project. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, that looks great, dude.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, I like the remnants of the man. What once was.
The man that once lived there.
The man that was and has since vacated.
Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry that
sorry.
I'm sorry that our cat died in the X-ray machine. Let me put myself through it to show you that I love you.
Okay,
And
ready?
that's what happened.
And then I'll jump in. All right, so this is where I'm at.
Oh, awesome, dude.
Like little spiky hairs in each of the like little skin divots.
I love it.
And then mandibles in there. I think I need to like because I'm favoring speed right now over quality. You gotta. I'm gonna pick and choose my battles when it comes to symmetry. But just like move that guy up.
Oh, nice.
Oops. See, that's why you got to be careful. I had, I don't know if I would call it an epiphany, but most of ZBrush's stuff is camera based, like rotating around your model.
Oh yeah, everything.
Like from sculpting to moving things. So if you ever feel like you're having trouble getting at a form in a certain way, change your camera angle slightly and just rotate around the model. Sometimes you'll build, you'll sculpt and you'll think it looks good, and then you turn the form and you're like, what is going on? Asking in there. But then once I get this a little bit further, then I'll break the symmetry. I was also thinking this guy could work for like a Baxter Stockman.
Baxter Stockman?
Yeah, remember him?
No.
No, didn't remember him. Didn't remember him. From Ninja Turtles? Baxter Stockman, he was the fly dude.
Oh, crap. Okay. Yeah. I used to have that toy.
Used to have that toy. He had a lab coat.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Scientist. Nope, didn't remember.
I didn't remember. No, I'm sorry. Did I ever tell you the story about me not remembering Baxter Stockman?
Oh, that thing that just happened.
It's a real story involving real people. Okay?
Oh, man. That was a wild time in our life 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, dude.
Love it. I think I'm going to go ahead and toss it into Keyshot now.
Do it up.
At least like get a read on it. I had Goliath in here. So now we're going to swap it out.
Okay, I will do the same thing. Let's see what this guy's do.
Here we go. Something like that. So it's like if you build out a scene and it's already got like the lighting, just steal it. Just use it.
Oh, I had my other guy open up in there. Oh, yeah, dude. He looks great.
It's like we can already just start taking it and look deving it. Turn it to like a milky, yellowy paste.
Yeah, let's see here. I'll bring my dude over. Gonna flatten that camera out just a tidgeon. And then, yeah, I don't have a scene loaded up, so I'm just gonna go ground up here. I always like to go nice and dark on the background.
Ooh, that broke real quick. That was interesting. Just like just torched it. Oh wow, totally broke it. Oh, that's why. Yep, it was just begging to crash. All right. Can't even change out of the camera.
Oh, that's not good.
That's fun. Good reminder to save. Goliath. Yeah, we're still working on Goliath. He's slow though. That's like the slow art. You gotta. That's like the good stuff. You gotta take your time on. Like you want that to look really good, but then the cool news is, it's not really news, but like the cool thing is that once I have Goliath done, then I have a template for the other gargoyles. So I'm going to use him, basically his legs, his claws, and I can, swap those around. And then the rest is just kind of like character attributes. Part of me is like, oh yeah, you should topo this guy up all the way. Full on UDIMs.
That is a decision that you definitely have to make.
It's like how far do I want to go? Or
well, it's really just like, what do you want to do with it is the big issue. Like, what do you want to do with the model?
But like, you could do anything and everything.
You could.
You could do anything with it. All right. So I'm keeping it pretty simple. Let's pull up our guys here. Trying to get that tear in the face. Those muscles are overlapping.
Yeah, man. I feel like it's like a fun enough project to where I could probably spend some time on it in my own time, just from the first hour on it. There's some cool stuff already going on that I know could look like way cooler.
That's also the danger of doing all these new sculpts, is like you want to finish every one of them. You take them all to like that level that they deserve. They all deserve that level.
They need it. Uh-oh. It disappeared. There we go.
At some point, though, Matt, I'd love to get you to demo your thought process on like slicing and supports and all that stuff.
Oh, you mean
yeah, for your 3D printing.
For 3D printing.
because you got that Cthulhu to print and that base. Now I know
It's
it was
very big.
I know it was on your giant ass printer.
It's very big, and there are there are issues, that I still have to work out with it. But the thing about it is, it's literally just like any other practice, right? You get into 3D, you get into printing, you get into anything, and you're like, okay, I've seen some really cool examples. I know I can do this, and then you immediately find out, like, wow, there is so much more involved, and
Like
the only way to learn is by doing stuff 100,000 times. So I had that Anycubic photon printer, and I printed for like a year straight, and I'm like able now. It's like, okay, if I see an issue with the print, I'm like, well, it's probably one of three things, right? And the reason why I actually haven't been printing a lot is because I want to eliminate that temperature issue, especially with the resin that we're using. Like, if it gets too cold, it won't stick to itself. And so I have like a space heater sitting in front. Yeah,
where you are.
Yeah, I have a space heater sitting in front of the 3D printer, just blowing heat on it for 36 hours just to try and keep the bed warm, right? So of course I'm going to have some failures, and I want to eliminate that so that I can actually diagnose the real issues, right? But yeah, I mean, once I get like a super solid printout, because I mean it's close. It really is. It's really close.
Are you noticing like any like little? I don't know. Are there just like little things going wrong? Or
no? I mean there's big holes in it in some areas, and that mainly comes from having too large of a build plate with the suction force, right? Because what's happening is, your build plate's going down into a vat.
It's pulling that up,
and it is shooting a laser on it. And if the build plate is full of fucking resin, there's going to be a lot of suction. Now, if anything else is affecting that, then it's going to be an issue. So, like with the temperature not being perfect or above 65 degrees in the garage, it's like, okay, this printer is built to have this large amount of suction force, right? So I want to make sure that temperature is proper. And then if it still has that issue, then we're looking at orientation or supports, or possibly even exposure time, which I never recommend changing stuff like that. If you're downloading like the printer profiles from the manufacturers, in my experience, you don't want to be messing with any of the layer times and this and that. And it's like, dude, if you're having issues with like the manufacturer, like actual print settings, then there's something else going on externally.
It's always I don't know, most of it just always works, but it comes down to like how you slice it. Like,
yeah, well,
it's like
absolutely
how you slice it.
It
and
also
that's like
depends,
life, you know.
dude,
How you slice it.
It's just like life. But dude, it also depends on, I mean, orientation's a big thing.
That's a big one.
Even before that, like whenever I'm doing Cthulhu, I know that I have to break it up into several parts. And you're like, okay, what is the most beneficial way to save time and resin on printing something this huge, right? And you have to really I will slice files and orient files and separate models and key models like 5 times ahead of time, because I know that it's going to be like, well, it's just like any other form of work. Like, you do your first draft, you take a break, you come back, and you're like, ooh, this actually might be a problem here, or I missed this earlier. You know what I mean? It takes time to understand why things screw up. And people are really quick to blame a lot of failures on technical issues, right? It's just like working in any sort of production studio. You'll have a shot that comes back, and they'll be like, "Oh, something rendered wrong." You're like, "Oh man, well, the refraction must have been too high, and this and this and this." And it's like, listen, like, just show me what the issue is. Okay, well, the assembler didn't have primary visibility on. This is not it's not some sort of crazy technical issue.
And I can't tell you how many times I've said that, just like on a day-to-day basis. I'm like, my primary assembler.
Oh, I'm gonna fall over and die.
I'm gonna man, you ever just like sit there on the toilet and you're like, man, my primary assembler
It's funny.
killing me. Maybe 14 cups of coffee a day isn't a good idea.
Yeah.
This is primary.
I like it.
Assembler.
I like it.
My guy's very naked. He's very, very naked. He's got no parts. It's like the first thing that happens to you when you become a flyman.
Oh, so you're going full body.
Well, I'm trying not to. I'm just like trying to hang out up here.
I mean, it looks like you're trying to,
but
it doesn't look like you're trying.
Like, look, I haven't even sculpted like on the back at all. Just been like here.
You're like, listen, I noodle around on the arms and the entire torso, but I haven't touched the bottom of the feet yet.
I have not. Look at those things. Look at those toes. Those are terrible toes.
Yeah, like the terrible twos.
The terrible toes. Man, that's some body horror.
The terrible twos.
The terrible toes.
No, the terrible toes.
The terrible toes.
The terrible toes.
They're stinky. They're a little bit stinky. Music. Well, let us know what you guys want to see. If there's some topic you want to see us tackle, let us know.
This Cronenberg thing, the very first thing I thought of, not gonna lie, I was like, man, the Cronenberg Rick and Morty episode.
Oh, yes.
That was the very first thing I thought of.
It's to where it's now a verb.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Yeah, before you Cronenberg to the whole world.
Cronenberg the whole world. Like, that's how you know.
That's how
you are synonymous with body horror.
Yep.
I love that episode too. That's one of my.
Yeah, and that is the original world, and that is like how the season ends. They're like, well,
that's it, everybody.
It's so crazy, and then they just go on to another dimension. I love that show.
As one does.
Yeah, your Pickle Rick was awesome. You should have printed that. You should print that.
I have every so often I pick it up and I look at it and I think about what it takes to print it, and then I put it back.
I like it. Yeah.
And I put it down again.
That happens. That will happen.
I love him though, and I was I want to say if I was a more like disciplined artist, where I could, just pick something up like that and I could just stick to it enough that it would be, oh, that's why it's taking forever. Reference for rotten zombie skin.
I wonder
how
what
do you
he
find
means.
Reference for rotten zombie skin?
Dude, so actually, let me say one thing. So now Jared and I have different disciplines on this for sure, because he's full blown. But whenever I would get assignments like zombies or dead people or any of that stuff, I remembered that people have been doing special effects for like the last X amount of decades of years, and there is a lot of reference on, I mean, even in The Walking Dead, you can look up Walking Dead zombies
Oh,
and
yeah.
find 1,000 pictures of Negatora zombies on there, and they're incredible. And you can,
that's Greg Nicotero, right?
yeah, and you can just go further and further down that line, right? So there's a lot of people that are in special effects schools and institutes and that work on movies, and they're posting their work everywhere online, and they're already looking at all the nasty stuff you need to look at. So if I need like something real quick that I know isn't an actual dead person exploding, I'm like, okay, I'll just look up what was that scene in RoboCop where that dude melted? Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I'm gonna, like, I don't want to. So that's my quick and safe answer to.
So your answer boils down to look at special effects artists who are working in the industry and sculpting and look at their work.
Yeah, I mean, like Savini. Even I mean,
Totally.
It's important to read what those guys have to say, and those, like Savini actually saw war, and he was a photographer in war, and so he got to see it all firsthand, and that's why whenever his movies like Friday the 13th were coming out, and things were like, oh my God, this is next level realism in like the 70s. People were like, holy crap, like how did
that happen?
Yeah, how did that happen? He's like, well, I actually saw it.
I saw that, and
it's crazy. That is my answer.
Yeah, I don't think you actually have to like go around and go on the dark web and Google dark web search for dead bodies. Matt's perfectly right. Like I'll look at special effects artists. Like I have a whole folder of reference dedicated just to practical effects.
Yeah.
Because the truth is like if it's going to work in real life, then it will certainly work in CG. CG is just the recreation of real life. So you just try to go as accurately as you can. And look for that stuff. So yeah, we'll reference practical effects shops and sculptors, and there's so many, and their Instagram accounts are just awesome. Like find out who and just like look at research things. Like how I search for it is special effects designer on such and such a movie, like who sculpted the Hannibal Lecter and Red Dragon or whatever it is. Like find something that you love, and then start like digging in a little bit and start researching who's working in the industry, and then start looking at their work. Like, so
yeah,
if you're looking for like rotten zombie skin, you're going to Walking Dead, right? Like they have
the same principle. Like
they have 400 seasons of reference to look at. Like just watch like 5 episodes and you'll have everything you need.
If you needed to make a dragon, they would be referencing Game of Thrones. That's how it works, right? Like whenever you're in a studio, they're like, we need zombies. And
they usually look at like the last thing that came out that was big.
Right.
Like if they were like dragons, they're like, oh, don't do a Game of Thrones dragon.
Right.
So make sure it doesn't look like that. But like find, but like look at what's out there, and follow those people who are making the art that you want to make, and save their work, snapshot their work, find their profiles, where are they saving stuff, like start
like
building,
follow them, share it,
follow it, share it. Sharing's great too. But yeah, like there's tons of stuff out there. Now, like what Matt's kind of alluding to is like I have folders of some pretty realistic, gruesome stuff that have, that are related to the horror that I've had to sculpt, for the job. Now, you don't have to go that far. My father was a doctor, so that we've talked about that a lot, where my dad had a very morbid sense of curiosity.
Right.
So I definitely inherited that principle.
Yeah, and I mean there have been many times, especially like earlier on, where that's like what you were looking for, was like that exact reference or some sort. And it's important ultimately to know how that stuff works on a biological level. You're like, okay, so whenever you get art direction and someone's like, this zombie has been in the water for an entire year and it's bloated, well, you're gonna have to know what that looks like, or the design is gonna be very unbelievable. And so like maybe there's some really gross bloated zombies on Walking Dead, and if there's not, maybe there's
one in like the first 2 episodes. I think there's like the well zombie.
There you go.
Where they pull him out of the well and he's like all bloated and nasty, and then he just like sploosh. They pops like a bubble.
So you lucked out there.
I was also thinking, it's a great show, is Bones. Bones has a lot of those kind of like gruesome effects from like the weird ways that people die. I enjoyed that show. I don't know if you would.
I have not seen it.
It's about a forensic anthropologist. So like she looks at dead people and it's like, oh, he had a cut on his mandibular bone. And they're like, oh, you're so smart, Bones. You did it.
You're so smart, Bones.
You're so smart, Bones.
That's your actual name, Bones.
That's what they call her. It's a nickname.
Yeah.
It's not her actual name. No one.
It's her actual name, Bones.
Bones. Your parents named you.
Your parents named you Bones. They named you Bones, Bones.
They named you Bones. I think your parents were messed up, and they're like, no, they were really nice people. They just named you Bones.
They just named you Bones.
I'm going to try and basically get a little head tilt in here. And one thing that I learned that really helps with like head tilts is remembering where the pivot point is. So for me, I like to kind of come down to the clavicle, right around the 7th cervical vertebra right there. And then, all of posing is basically just camera based. So I'll just kind of go off the camera, but I'll kind of tilt the head this way. So then,
yeah, for sure,
you get that nice like squash and stretch.
And that screech, that like,
yeah, like he's like,
he's letting everyone else around know that it's
having a bad time.
Yeah,
he wants everyone to know he's having a bad time. Poor guy. Feel bad. You feel bad.
Every time it's like, it's just your little fur baby.
Little fur baby. Fur baby with some fat nasties.
A couple fat nasties on a fur baby.
Officer, they're just a couple of fat nasties.
You don't understand, Your Honor.
Not a big deal.
It's a fat deal.
Let me tell you, you're going to love this. When I tell you what it is, you're going to love it. Listen.
You're going to love it.
It's a fat nasty.
It's a fat nasty.
Fat nasty. You're going to love it. Gotta go fat nasty. So have you done anything else on Cthulhu? You're just a print town.
No, I mean there's
print prep town.
Yeah,
have you glued it together at all, or?
No, I have not glued it together because basically what I need to do is print a master file that I can cast. And so I have a couple of parts that look really nice, but I need to, you know, whenever the temperature's right, I'm going to reprint them and see if they come out proper. Uh, because you don't want any holes in your prints. You need them to be watertight and all that stuff. So, and there's ways that you can patch that.
And I assume
Obviously.
you're gonna hollow that bad boy, right?
Well, I mean, it's hollowed whenever I print, but yeah,
Okay.
whenever you cast it, I don't want to have like all of that that entire volume in there. But yeah, I've got it hollowed out and engineered, and you just hollow it in the Cheeto box. It's
Yeah,
works
that does it all for you.
it works pretty well. I have printed several times with that hollow, and seeing the failures, and then going back to the file, you can see that it just makes like these crazy geometries just crashing into itself. So you're like, okay, so you gotta. There's a million things you've gotta keep in mind, with the printing, especially whenever you're engineering the files. A lot of people buy these printers and then they go online and then they download
Yeah, like they're
they
not
just
most
download their
most
file.
people
Yeah,
aren't like sculpting their own, buying stuff and
right,
3D printing them.
right. All right, yo, I gotta step out for half a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Well, when Matt comes back, so hi, it's me. Come hang out. Let me show you where I'm at. Basically, got him posed real quick. Bulging, nasty eye, and I've added kind of that asymmetry, which is going to look, pretty nice. Added these kind of like large, porous holes in there, just to give us that feeling of fly skin. The biggest thing that I always tell students, the number one thing, like I see with beginners, is they're not digging into the clay hard enough. So this is like the number one thing that I always see in students, and I tell them, you got to dig into that clay, like dig in like 20-30% harder than you think you need to. So if you want that like tendinous feeling from like rotting zombie skin, like this is tearing flesh, right? So the thing that makes tearing flesh really look fun is the shadows. It's like creating layers of detail like this. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of like, now one, I'm kind of following the flow of the anatomy. So it's like stretching from his cheekbone here all the way down. So if you want to create, the sensation that something is stretching, just cut in really deep. Young seed. Yes, I love it too. I love it when it looks sick nasty. You making a game? No, I'm not a game, not a dev. I'm just a guy who makes monsters. But I love games. Currently playing Elden Ring. When I get the chance, I get like maybe an hour a night. I've been very busy writing for the past several months. I haven't had a lot of game time. Writing is a whole other different skill set. But rewarding. It's rewarding to write something. Like feel like once it's done, you've accomplished something. Whole other side of the craft, whole other side, of your brain. So, in order to create this like stretching skin feeling, first thing is you need layers, like layers of and depth. You want it to feel like there are levels to this thing. Like there's, the main flesh underneath. There's like layers of flesh. So, really digging in to create that shadow. Because thing I say with most students is that, they don't have the depth. And once you get over that like hesitation of like sculpting into the clay, your work is going to read better. And there's lots of different reasons for this. One is when you throw it into a renderer like this, throw it into Keyshot. Oh, I forgot this crashed. Forgot about that. That's all right. All right. Well, it's in there anyway. But the point is that like when you throw it into a renderer, look at the side of that doesn't have that depth in there, like how the shadows are reading. And then look at the side that has that depth. Like that's really gonna, cast some shadows in there. So this is why it's really good to just throw your, whatever you're working on into a renderer anyway. Just so you can, read the shapes, read, how shadows are forming. What am I writing? I have a shocking enough, I wrote a creature feature. So it's a very, very fun movie. Borrowed from my own life experience just a little bit, and then put a monster in there. But yeah, like get some shadows in there, right? That's what's going to create that depth. And then put some areas of rest as well. Like I have a lot of detail here, or I have a lot of detail here, so maybe I don't have as much here. Even as I look at this is probably too much. But when I throw a shader on top of this, and then I throw a subsurface scattering on top, say I really crank this up. There you go. The side that doesn't have the deep sculpting, that's getting really soft from the shader. And then you look at the side that has that deep sculpting, and you can see like much more shadow, much more depth to it. Now, even this is probably too much. So what I like to do is, when you look at it, you can decide to keep it or, get rid of it. But I'm going to just knock it back just a little bit. Like I would rather sculpt in too hard and pull it back than to not sculpt in like deep enough. So then maybe you can find like a nice balance in there. There's also the adjust last feature, which they put in there. So, if you feel like it, you can just use that, and actually like that'll tweak your depth. But I want this to feel like it's, pulling, like he's pulling his face. And so since I lost my lighting, I'm going to pull up that that gargoyles one again, just so I can steal the lighting. Matt Millard's back.
I'm back.
Millard.
It's my dude. Man, your guy's looking awesome. He looks great, man. He's very gross.
He's very gross.
Yeah. Let's go to the GPU.
Let's yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm liking the forms on my guy. He looks very, very scary.
He does look very scary.
That's the goal, right? You got to get them looking scary. And the one thing that's really going to make it work is that fly tongue. We got to get that
Oh,
really
the fly tongue. Yeah.
gross fly tongue in there. I'll probably
Pop
just, let's see here. Most of the time, I'll just pop in a sphere. If I'm just having fun, I'm just like, let's just go. Get that sphere in there.
What are you doing for a sphere? Oh, you're gonna do that. You're gonna pop a tongue.
Yeah, I just want that gross, dude. And I can't help but think of Peacemaker. How gross that fly tongue is, where they go down and they're just eating stuff. They're just sucking in the goop.
Oh God, yes.
Sucking in the goop. And I'll keep a little bit of a human element to it for sure. Tongues, I gotta say, one of my favorite things to do.
Tongues are fun.
Absolutely.
Tongues
Like
is where it is.
like creature tongues, right?
Creature
Because
tongue.
you just get those. It's a simple thing. You just get that lip in there to get that top,
It's very
muscle,
enjoyable.
and then you know that they connect at the bottom right here, and then you can just get all of those gross, like this kind of language, that just liney,
Yes.
gross language, and it's just even just a rough sculpt like that is like, oh, that's pretty unsettling, dude.
Trying to like rush some textures in here real quick. Let's see if I can squeeze. There we go. Everything is going to have like a yellowish tint. It's a great tongue.
Yeah, and it's just
It's just fun. It's just
seconds
fun.
Seconds in, you can get some forms that you like, for sure. Because it's I did a lot of tongues whenever I was working on Venom, and I just found kind of just a little bit of peace in it.
You get a tongue rhythm going.
Yeah, you get the tongue rhythm, but there's just a little bit of zen and making all those weird little ripples, like those like kind of alien level muscles that are in your mouth.
Little alien nipples. That stuff is really fun to do. Like tongues are a place where you can really go wild. And like,
yeah, and the inside of the mouth, like I always, there's one thing I always do, and I took some time just to get like that detail, like even just block it in, add some weird forms in there, like some angular forms. But I always do that with my characters. I always pay attention to the inside of the mouth, because there's how many times do you watch a cool scary movie and you're getting like the close up of the crazy
the mouth,
xenomorph mouth or the predator mouth or whatever it is? It's like, man, like you want to pay attention to that, because it's scary, dude. Like stuff is scary and gross.
Yeah, don't skimp on the mouth, because every creature mouth is going to get featured at some point. You got to have your creature roaring.
Demogorgon,
because like
right
creatures,
there.
Like when you think about it, like there's not a lot they can do outside of like their like trick, and their special trick that they have. Like every creature has like a thing that they do.
Right. It's also going back to like having a dog. It's like the only thing that dogs do is use their mouth. Right? They bark, they lick, they chew, that's all they do. Like, and they're obvious. It's like 85 to 90% of their entire life is using their mouth. Right? That's their
mouth and nose
apparatus. Yeah.
Like it's all upper, There we go. Mouth and nose. There we go. I was trying to go more like pale, translucent larva, and I don't think I'm getting there. It's like,
Yeah. Are you GPU or CPU?
I'm GPU, or sorry,
Cool.
yeah, GPU.
Do you have global illumination on in
I
your
do not.
shader?
There we go.
Well, I was going to say you would want to turn it off to be more
Oh,
subsurface, and your translucency is already at 4, so your model might be huge, man.
oh, really?
Yeah. Did you have to scale up? Do you have any lights in the scene?
Yeah, I do have lights in the scene.
Did you have to scale them up a lot, or?
They're probably pretty big.
That's the one thing about subsurface that
It's all
it
scale.
it lands across almost every if it's being ray traced, like it's all scale dependent, right?
I'm just gonna keep upping the refractive index until it's green.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like
I
if
mean,
you
this
can't, if
the
you can't
lighting, the
even
scene would make a big difference as well.
right. So
But I'm not like,
if he's being lit directly on, it's going to be more diffuse, and subsurface is only going to happen with backscattering or any sort of indirect lighting. Also dependent on camera angle. That's actually a huge issue that you run into in production, right? Because let's say you have a super translucent character and it's in a scene, and they're like, "Well, why doesn't it look
yeah,
translucent?" And it's
yeah,
like, "Well, it's being lit head on." So, like,
yeah. You're not
your
gonna see that.
ears are like the most translucent part in your body, and if they're lit head on, you're not going to have that red subsurface there. But if it's backlit and the light is
Scattering,
scattering through the surface,
scattering,
scattering,
scattering.
it will have that beautiful subsurface.
That beautiful subsurface scattering can be yours
For the price of backlighting.
for the price of a little backlighting. You can have it. It can be yours. So yeah. Beautiful San Fernando Valley. I love that line.
Schneider lens.
That's cool. Yeah. It's looking gnar.
Narble.
That's gnar. Narbles.
We're going narbles on it.
I've been cooking up okay renders if a bit stylized with BPR filters. BPR filters are awesome. There are some artists who can do really cool stuff with BPR filters. So yeah, don't worry about it. Like, you can get great art, out of anything.
Yeah, flat images are flat images, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Doesn't
how you
matter.
go about it. What I would say is try Nomad. Is really cool. You would have to, crunch down your models a lot to get it to work in Nomad, but that's like at least a little bit more affordable. I justify Keyshot because I'm using it all day, every day. It's definitely just a part of my toolkit. I'm going to do. What if I plug a curvature into the spec?
Yeah, I do that
for that iridescent sheen.
I do that with roughness a lot, so that you can get the crevices either drier or wetter than the rest of the surface.
I love that curvature texture. I love it. It's so powerful. So So it's looking pretty freaky.
Oh yeah, I love it, dude. Looks great.
All right, let's do a check-in. What do you think?
Man, I think that's awesome. Yeah, that looks awesome. Let's see what I got here. I blocked in that tongue.
Let's see.
Send it over to the old Keyshot. See what's going on.
That tongue is nasty. What is that at the end of his tongue?
It's like the suction hole. Right?
Suction hole.
Yeah, it's the suction hole that comes out of that. You know, if Eric Keller were here, he would tell us exactly the part. But it's that they have that,
what it is.
I have like this human element in there, but it's going to have that tube that sucks in all the grossness that flies have. And there's actually hairs on it too. Whenever I finally get around to that here, let's see. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nasty.
I like the forms on it. Yeah, I like the forms on it.
I like it. Cool. Yeah. The stuff coming off of the zygomatic to the jaw is really nice. You know what? That's what I've noticed about your work since we started doing these is like you're getting you're pushing your details really hard now. And I know you've always done that, but like it's cool to watch.
It's definitely something that you just get more aware of, you know what I mean? Like you just, especially in lighting, right? Like ZBrush is such an incredible piece of software, but being in so much production, that's why Keyshot is so great, because it's production lighting. It's all ray traced. It's like physical lighting, and you can see your model and see how the forms are reading. But in ZBrush, it's kind of tricks you. You're like, oh, my guy looks dope, and then you bring him into a scene. You're like, oh, I really need to push this or take this down. You know,
all the time, because ZBrush it doesn't have that BPR look to it.
Right.
Like say if like you jump into Nomad, so there's still a little bit of separation, and I think that actually throws a lot of people. When they first start using it, like that, because it, and it can be tough for clients too, because they can't read it either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's clients are a whole nother bag. It's like
that's a whole
every client's so different, and that's like half of the job is learning. Well, how do they understand art? Do they understand art?
Can they read this thing that I'm putting in front of them? And the answer is usually no.
Yeah.
Although occasionally you get like I mean, you do get clients and directors and all that who are really good.
Oh, dude, they'll blow your mind.
Exactly what they're doing, and you're like, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They have a vision. They can communicate it clearly. You're like, this is rad. Yeah, it looks great. I like the neck too.
Yeah, I'm liking the silhouette on it. Thank you. It almost has kind of I think with these two teeth, it feels a little primate.
Yeah.
But that language is actually kind of cool, right? Like, I mean, the second that you flesh it all out, especially from an angle like this, like if it was a shot in a movie, like a reveal shot, and it's just like, rah, the tongue comes out. You're like, what the holy crap? What's going on here? But yeah, breaking these shells out, break those out into some separate geometry, get some iridescent reflection on those. And it's all material separation. Even with a model at this level, if you separate the materials in compositing, it's going to look incredible, because that's like the secret. Like, this is more reflective, and this is more dry, and this is more crusty, and this is more wet. Like that's the stuff that sells.
there is that stuff that's coming out in Keyshot 11 where you'll actually be able to texture paint. You know, and it's rudimentary compared to like Substance or other stuff that's out there. But you know, for Keyshot, you know, it's decent enough.
Oh, here's a good question. How do you deal with clients who don't give detailed enough notes?
Oh, that's a good question.
What I would say just off the bat, like you can totally go for sure, but the one thing I always default to is if I am not getting detailed enough notes, you can kick that back and you can be like, okay,
yeah, Quicksilver.
what are you not responding to? And most of the time, I'll say 50-50, that works and that doesn't work. So my default is to just take the same thing and make very broad strokes. I don't want to spend a lot of time refining something that doesn't have specific critique on it, right? Because you don't know. Like, for instance, on this one, right? This is actually a perfect example because I've gotten these notes quite a bit of times. It's like I show them this picture. Let's pretend this is, some refined piece of artwork. And then you get the note back, oh, well, it doesn't look human enough or it doesn't look scary enough. And you're like, okay, like those are broad notes that you can absolutely refine. You're like, okay, so human elements, maybe you need more nose, more expression, more eye, more likeness. If it doesn't look scary enough, maybe you can very simply change the lighting and make it scary. But then you get the notes that don't make any sense. And so you just give them a very large like change. That's what I do. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm not getting like a specific note, but I know that they're not pleased, I'll just give them some drastic, like one or two different changes, like huge head, a lot of teeth, multiple eyes. I'm like, okay, so because all you're trying to do is get a reaction from the client. And if you're not getting a reaction from the client, you have to supply that, like, do you like this or do you not like this? And the second you can find out what they don't like, you can start to really figure out the direction that you need to go with some of the more difficult situations like that, in my experience.
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, that's a great point. I would say your job kind of becomes, interpreting notes. One thing that I'll do is when you first get notes, there's the kind of initial reaction of like, oh, I got notes. I better, so do a quick scan of them, like just kind of brief yourself on what they're saying. And then, I'll kind of get the gist of it of like positive or negative, right? So big strokes, negative or positive. Sometimes you'll get a negative of like, we're just not liking anything so far. Okay, no worries. So that already gives you a foundation for like what they don't like, right? So if they don't respond to anything that you've given them, go back to their initial feedback, their initial brief. Look at the reference that they've sent you, if they have sent you any reference at all. And then you have to do a little bit of kind of interpreting work of like, what do you think it is that they're not responding to? Because, some people are great communicators and they're awesome. And they tell you, hey, change what you really want as an artist is they're like, you want someone to go like this, like, hey, Jared, looking at your fly guy, good start so far. I want you to change the eyes, so match the eye size. We don't like one eye smaller. This might be for various reasons, like rigging or, who knows, whatever. Or the client doesn't like asymmetrical, or maybe because it's too asymmetrical, it doesn't look right, whatever it is. They're going to just feel a certain way about whatever is in front of them. So then they're, a perfect client's going to be like, change this, add this, take away this, and you get notes and feedback, and those notes say like, you know, cool, this is working, awesome, check mark, you know, things like that. That's good stuff. What's really difficult is when you get a client that says, you know, we don't know yet. You know, and that's the hardest thing, because you're like out of
or like, why doesn't it look like my character?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, like, can you be more specific?
The hardest stuff, you know, was when we were working on Chinese shows,
Oh,
you know,
man.
for Chinese film production.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
it was difficult because, you know, there's the actual language barrier.
Yeah.
But also, as clients, they gave notes very differently. Their notes were more flowery and less like decisively change this. They would speak from an emotional standpoint, and they would say things like, we want this to feel more effervescent, or like, this creature must float with the spirit of the wind. And you're like,
yes, dude. And
you know,
you're like,
and
okay.
you know, and you don't know, like,
you're like, okay,
got
it.
And so when you get that stuff, it's just like, okay, I'll just do another one, and then hope that something sparks. But usually go back to the reference that they gave you from the get-go, because that is usually, you know, that's their initial impression. They put that reference together for a reason. So go back to the reference and kind of do some detective work, and be like, what is it about the reference that they're liking or not? You know, what is it they're responding to? So yeah, sometimes you get clients not as communicative in the right way that you might hope for. So your job kind of becomes like you're an interpreter, and you're just trying.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to, and it only comes with you know, with experience.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell.
You have to read people to an extent.
You can tell by the way that once you get to know these people, like how they're wording things, what it means, right? And you can tell if they're actually liking a direction, or if they're like, you know, this really isn't. Maybe start from a different idea, and you're like, okay, so they're not on board, and that's okay. I just need to know that you're not on board.
I think when it comes to dealing with, say, you know, a difficult client, is, you know, just remember that it's not your project,
Sure.
and your job is to give them what they're, you know, what they want, even if you may disagree with it, or, you know, whatever. You know, they're the ones, you know, signing the check, and they have they might have specific thoughts on things. Rare clients aren't, you know, those kind of clients are a little bit rare, because, you know, they're getting into the industry because they're creatively excited stuff.
Yeah, the reason why initially I wanted to be a CG supervisor was because I had worked with so many people that didn't know the language, right?
So you're acting as a go-between.
And it's like, well, at the end of the day, if you're, you know, working at a garage and you don't know anything about cars, all you're going to say is, well, do it faster.
Yeah.
Well, why can't you do it better? You know? And so being a generalist, you learn so much about every part. And you get hired to do every part of stuff. And that is something that you absolutely want in a supervisor, is someone that can speak your language, and that is someone that you want in a client, someone that has like some sort of understanding of the CG, of the process. You know, it's like, if your guy can even say he looks too wet or too shiny, that
Yeah,
is
that's good.
just, I mean, that's like, you're like, thank God. You
Yes,
know, like you're
something.
like, just give me something, right?
When you get the full on, like, I don't know, but it doesn't
Uh,
look right. Well, can you go into detail?
yeah. Yeah.
And when you get that, then you're in trouble. Big red flag is we'll know it when we see it.
Oh man,
That is like the biggest red flag.
that's a rough one.
And when you get that, you just have to go, okay, and then just try. When nothing's hitting, just start shooting like way out there, and just
Yeah,
come up
that's
with some really dark stuff.
yeah. That's what I was
Well,
saying. I'll just give them just big crazy stuff, and I'll be like, well, "What
bigger,
about this?" And I'll be like,
bigger and crazy,
"Oh."
yeah.
And dude, sometimes that stuff
Sometimes
will
that works.
land, and then you're like, "Well, I'm not sure I'm excited about that, but at least we're somewhere, right?"
Yeah. It's better than where we were, which was nowhere. I've had that happen. I had that happen very recently. Last year, I was working on a project, and when I was like, "Oh man, I've done like so many of these. What do I do?" And I started really going weird.
Nice.
I just started getting weird, and he loved it.
That's awesome,
So
man.
he ended up choosing like one of the weirder ones. So I hope one day I'm able to tell this story. I know one day I'll be able to tell the story, but it is
That's
one
dope.
of the weirdest things I've ever done is going to be committed to film, and it's awesome. That's an experience, from like I don't know. I've done everything I could do. What possibly is left, and then you dig a little harder, you get a little weirder, and then something else shows up. But I think the big thing for this guy is like I'd love to separate the teeth because
yeah, for sure.
like I look at the render and I'm like, the teeth just aren't. So I actually have a pair of scanned teeth that I'm gonna pop in.
Well, it is time for me to hit the sack, my man.
Yeah, I'm there anyway, but yeah. Let me ask you this real quick. How many hours are you in Elden Ring?
You trying to shame me in front of all of the internet, Jared?
Dude, I have 9 hours. I'm like barely in. I'm a baby.
Okay, you've got 9 hours.
I've got nothing. I've got like zero. I'm like
you could.
I am weak. I'm nothing.
I have more than 10 times more than you. I'm a little over 100 hours right now.
100 hours.
Mm-hmm. I've been making sure in the last week. I'm like, okay, I got to take a break from playing this damn game all the time. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's been incredible. Way into it.
It had some teeth in here. There we go. See? Some nice scanned teeth.
Look at them go.
They're
beautiful.
They're beautiful.
They are beautiful.
I get all this at the 3D scan store, by the way. So I love it.
Okay. Yep. All right.
Okay, so let's do one last check-in before.
Sounds
before
good.
We head out.
Sounds
so
good,
Matt,
man.
where did you end up today?
This is where I'm at, man.
This looks great, dude.
Started from that head mesh we have. It's a pretty solid block in. I mean, a lot of loose forms, but I like the silhouette here, little head shape, that kind of egg.
Yeah, oh, that's fun.
Fly head shape there, And you know, I'm always looking at this thing up here is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I love that
The
feature.
thumbnailer,
Yeah,
I keep telling students, like, you got to look at that thing because it is awesome.
But yeah, you know, ultimately, I guess what I would do is break out some of, you know, I would break out these areas into separate geometry for the scales,
Oh, that's
right?
fun.
That kind of, and I would get that thickness in there for those kind of like fly kind of scales morphing into the skin. Because I mean, there's obviously plenty of room for that tertiary, secondary refinement, but the paint job is gonna lock it in. Oh, and one thing that I did was I took the like little orbital socket here and really just kind of pushed in that how do I bring this over? There it goes. Yeah, that kind of just that giant
Yeah,
shape,
yeah.
right? So I wanted to have that present in one eye, but still have some like Carlos Huante kind of musculature happening, like a transitional, like twisted musculature happening in
Yeah, that's
between,
fun.
like human
Yeah.
in between. So, you know,
Like eye gunk.
yeah. And I mean, it's a solid block in for sure. We've got the kind of
Right?
panicked eye,
It's-
and yeah,
yeah, it looks great.
let's get a
Little Rendy,
bank. There you go.
little bank. It
Just a
looks
little
great.
bank.
What were your? Do you have any render settings on your ZBrush? That looks great.
No, the only thing I did was just increase the angle on the shadow
Yeah,
so
that's
it
it.
wouldn't be a hard shadow, you know. And I always render my light from a little up high just because everything is top lit in the real world, you know. So that'll give it a more dramatic, it'll read the forms a little better.
Yeah, that's great. The mine has a occlusion on it. There we go.
Nice. You're on skin shade, huh?
Yeah.
Do you sculpt in skin shade or do you just
No, I
render
switched to skin before going to Keyshot.
it? Okay.
Because Keyshot inherits the material.
Yeah.
So I'll do skin before that. Let's take it off of the skin. You know, I've been using Blinn a lot lately too.
Yeah, well, I mean that's these are all matte caps, anyways.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's going to inherit the advanced material version of this, you know. So yeah, that's looking, dude. From the other side to that dramatic lighting. Yeah, that's fucking cool, man.
Like right here.
He's hanging out right there. I see. I like that. I
like this
that.
view too.
Yeah, I like.
You know,
that.
and I would want to throw like the arms up. You know,
What are you doing? What are you doing with your background image? What is that?
Well, this is you're gonna love this. This is Barcelona rooftops.
And you just have it super blurred.
I just blurred it to like 5.
But what does it look like just with like a dark gray background?
Dark gray. Just like if I
like if you no. I mean, if you overrode the camera visibility. Yeah, it's
broke. He's done. So
I did that on purpose.
I did it on purpose. We broke it.
Sabotage you.
Let's see if we can salvage it. No, he's done.
Yeah, it's going nuclear, boys.
It's going nuclear.
He's
done. He's done, baby.
You're done, son.
He's gonna burn alive. Here we go.
It's Terminator 2, man. Judgment Day right there. Yeah. You need a chain link fence.
Subsurface scattering much? Oh, there we go. It was the contrast, I think. Something really torched it.
You messed with the HDR, and what I was meaning was just to change the environment to be a color instead of changing the HDR.
That's cool.
You can override it to be, like black or white.
Yeah. We'll just turn it off here. There we go. Look at that crotch light right there, though.
That's great. Yeah, dude. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
science.
what
It's
people
like
tune
science.
in to see. Is they're here for the creature crotch. But like, yeah, this shot's fun.
Yeah, right. Like, so that is what I was asking. Like that, just with that, like a dark background. That looks awesome.
And then you can just see this guy like twitching.
Oh, he's just.
I always love like a good backlight.
Yeah. Looks like you get a top light in there too.
I do. Little. There you go.
Yeah, top light most important for me as far as the forms, man, because everything's coming from the top. Everything looks scary from the top, even if it's just a
I do
little.
love I do love a good rim light though.
Well, I mean, you gotta have the rim light.
Gotta have it.
The top is going to show you the forms, and the rim light's going to show you the scary.
You know, and it always goes to that principle of like the less you see. But and then doing, you know, I have this light under here. This is just the kicker. You know, what you do, you take a light and you aim it super low. So let me move that. And
yeah, you get a fill, a rim, and a kicker. That's 3-point lighting right there.
Especially for horror lighting, this is okay. Come here, move selection.
Yeah,
but take it and like point it right underneath there, and that's
there
good.
You go.
You know, that's good horror lighting.
Yeah, there you
go.
Because
you want the nose casting the shadow up.
It also looks like he's just panicking right now.
Yeah, he's like in the middle of a transformation.
He's having a bad time. He's having a bad day. He's having a bad week. Yeah.
And that's good. You know, that's the essence of Cronenberg. Is everybody's having a bad time.
Well, that's really fun, man. I mean, that was a fun.
It's a good time.
That's a fun. I'm definitely gonna have to finish that out.
Yeah, I you know, it's definitely one that I'll like save and I'll noodle on every so often. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna load up.
I'd love to throw more hair on him.
I'm gonna load up where I started here. There we go.
Oh, nice.
There we go. That's where we started, and that's where we ended, just like that.
You know, for 2 hours, you know, and we're talking while we do this. You know, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's great.
Not bad. Yeah. You know, sometimes we do okay.
Yeah, that's great. And that is basically how it would be in the studio anyways, right? Like you'd be 2 or 3 hours in. Well,
and they're like, what's going on?
Sorry, are you done? Is everything cool? Is it perfect?
Are you over?
Is everything just as I imagined it to be?
I'm out of here soon, and I gotta email this.
Yeah, I'm out of here soon. We gotta email this.
I gotta go.
And like, bro, it's 10 a.m. Nobody's out of here soon.
Are you gonna stay? Because you know, I can't give you a key or anything. We gotta go. Okay, I got a Nacho Del Grande with my name on it.
Oh my god, that sounds good though.
It does sound good. All right.
Anyways,
hey. Well, you came in right at the end. What's going on? The answer is nothing anymore, baby.
We were making weird monsters.
We were making weird monsters, and now we're not. But catch the replay on YouTube. Just go to the Gnomon School of Visual Effects webpage and subscribe. Hit like and subscribe. Watch all our past episodes. Watch the foolishness that is Creature Corner.
Yeah, we're just a couple of weird dudes that
we
just talk about horror movies and make monsters.
And we make cool shit.
And today was Cronenberg's birthday, so our theme was The Fly.
So we did The Fly. That's what we did today. It was Fly. He was our Fly guy.
Oh, it was Fresh Prince of
man,
it was Fly.
Thank you to our sponsor Lenovo for sponsoring all of our streams. Thank you to Gnomon School of Visual Effects. Our home away from home.
That's right.
That's right. The Mecha Visual Effects. Thank you to David Cronenberg for screwing up my childhood
Yes, absolutely.
in the best way possible, man.
Love it.
Best way possible. Thank you to Matt Millard. Thank you to his dog.
Love my dog. Love you.
Love you. I larva you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. And we'll see you next time on Creature Corner. We love you. Good night.
Later, guys.